Welcome back to Cosmic Peppers. This is another pepper from Dave the Hillside Gardener. Today we are going to be doing the fish pepper. So Dave has challenged me to eat several of these while I'm giving the history of these peppers. So in the future I'm going to change up how I do the history and probably put some pictures and things like that to go with it. But today I'm going to stick with the old format, and we're going to go with trying to eat as many of these peppers as I can. So I've got about 6 paragraphs written, and I've got 6 peppers, so I figure that can go off. So also, since this is the fish pepper, I want to say that my research, I'm pulling some of this right out of the Helpful Friendly book written by Iculus. So no, actually most of this comes from Linda at garden-betty.com. I'm going to put a link to that in the description below. And so let's go ahead and start with one of these before I start. So I got the top of this one taken off a little bit, so we're going to do this just to see what I'm getting into here. Wait, number one. Yep, just like fish. I mean, I said that jokingly, but really, it might have a little bit of a fishy taste to it. Wow, that's not as hot as I was expecting. That's good. So the Scoville on these can range anywhere from 5,000 to 30,000. They're typically a 2 to around 2-3 inch long pepper, pointy tip. We can see we got that going on here. This is good looking fish pepper here. Let's go into a little history now that I've knocked out the first one. Fish peppers are an interesting plant that stands out due to its striped fruit and variegated foliage. These features make the plant unique, that and its history. So, like I said, I got a lot of this from Linda at garden-betty.com. She's done a great job of pulling together all the information on this pepper. I thought I had a pretty good grip on it, but she brought to light some things I didn't know. And we'll be pulling heavily from her write-up. So she reports that sometime prior to the 1870s, this pepper moved from the Caribbean to African American communities throughout the Mid-Atlantic region, mostly surrounding the Chesapeake Bay area, particularly around Baltimore and Philadelphia, where fish peppers were used as a secret ingredient at crab and oyster houses. The young cream-colored peppers were used in creamy white sauces used for topping fish. So these peppers start out sort of a white creamy color, then they get sort of variegated green stripes on them. After that, they start turning an orangish color, and then eventually to this gorgeous red. And sometimes you can, and on these a little bit, you can still see where the striping originally was. So these plants also have a lot of the leaves have a white look. Hopefully I've had a chance to add some photos of what this plant looks like on at least right before I start coming in and start talking about all this. So we're gonna go ahead and knock out the second one after that first paragraph. Yeah. Oh, that one was sweeter. A little seedy. Not terribly hot. It's got a it's got a fruity, not quite a, almost like a sweet onion taste. Just a very sweet fruitiness. Apple, yeah, a little apple pear. That's what I'm looking at. Apple pear. Those are the flavor combos that are coming out in that sugar. So going on, Linda goes on to tell us, and this is a direct quote here, that with none of the red color typical of chili peppers to muddle the creams, fish peppers added an invisible heat to those sauces that no one could quite figure out. As such, their use in recipes was rarely mentioned in cookbooks and mostly passed down through oral tradition. End quote. So this really was a secret ingredient. I love secret ingredients, so that's really fun. Let's eat another one of these secret ingredients. Fish pepper number 3 going down the hatch, so I think this is my halfway point on them. That was a meteor pepper. Not as sweet. Not as sweet and a little more bitter. Pear. Yeah, definitely getting strong pear flavor. Not a lot of heat. It is warm. It is warm. But that's it. It's a tinkle. It's a warmth. We're not talking hot. Just warm. All right. So, heading on forward with the history of this pepper. Linda tells us that the fish pepper became less popular in the early 20th century as African American populations became more urban. Those who watched my review of the ahi crystal might recall my correspondence with William Wise Weaver, who inherited his grandfather's seed collection. The gentleman is a prolific food writer, editor, teacher, and keeper of the Roughwood seed collection. The only remaining fish pepper seeds were some of those saved by his grandfather, H. Ralph Weaver, who had received the seeds from the African-American folk artist Horace Pippin. So I'm going to get into that story a little bit more and get into a little bit more of the new information I learned about the Horace Pippin relationship with William Wise Weaver's grandfather. All right, we are now going to jump in with pepper number 4. This will put me 2/3 of the way there. I mean, they don't have the same underlying flavor, but it's interesting to move from profile to profile here. This one's got a little more heat, a little more bitterness, a little less sweetness. Not as much pear. More just Now it's the hottest one of the bunch. Yeah. That was the first one that edged in the territory of hot. That was it might just be the fact that I've had 4 of them now, but that one was getting towards hot. Definitely, I thought peaked up like probably twice as much as the lightest one so far. All right, moving on. So, I've studied up on this relationship in the past between these two individuals. That'd be Ralph Weaver, Ralph Weaver, and Horace Pippin. And I'm glad that she's come up with more. She writes that Horace Pippin was actually seeking relief in an old folk remedy that called for bee stings. In return for the bees, he offered up a selection of his vegetable seed collection. So, H. Ralph Weaver was a beekeeper, made a nice little trade here, and then several years after his grandfather passed away, William Wise Weaver cultivated several of the seed varieties he found in the back of his grandmother's freezer. His grandfather's old seed collection. In 1995, William Wise Weaver made the pepper available to the public, and it is officially sold, I think, through heritagefarms.com. If that's not true, then I'm going to edit that out later. All right. One more pepper. William Weaver seemed to indicate that they had a continuing friendship that lasted over the course of several years, but perhaps the bee ointment thing was, or needing the bee stings for an old folk remedy was where all that began. Maybe one day I'll track down the source of that story. All right, here we go. Number 5. Sweetest one so far. That's more like a cherry. That tastes very cherry. It's because of that up sugar content. Maybe the wall is not as thick either. Not a lot of heat on that one. I mean, if they tasted like that, I could just sit there and pop those like candy all day long. Wow, that was such a delicious pepper right there. It really goes to show that sometimes in a review, it can really pay to do 2 or 3 peppers, especially if it's something that you feel like you can handle the heat level on. To discuss out that variability that we're going to get as we move from pod to pod. One single pod is always not necessarily the best sample. So, Linda's reporting continues as she looks into the pepper's genetics. We're told that fish peppers are a mutation of serrano or cayenne peppers with a recessive gene for albinism. The recessive gene carries over into the leaves of the plant, and this also causes the striping of the unripened fruit. And like I said, you can see some of that striping on there afterwards. She actually gives us this little piece of advice towards the end that says when the seedlings emerge to go and thin out any that have all white leaves, because these are incapable of photosynthesis. Really good tip there. Awesome article by her. I'd strongly suggest checking it out and taking a look at the great photos that she provides in there as well. So these plants, they grow up to be 3 feet by 3 feet. They've got a 2-inch cone-shaped pepper, and I've got one remaining. I was really a little intimidated and worried about knocking out. Ooh, little pepper burp there. Knocking out 6 of these in a row, but this has gone pretty good. In fact, it's been a nice little afternoon snack. The only thing that I wish that maybe I had to go with this instead of just eating them straight was little crackers and cheese. So down the hatch, number 6. Cheers to all you pepper lovers out there. Sweet again. I'm loving these sweet ones. Yep. Not bad on heat. Probably about medium heat for all of these. I don't know what it was. It was me being ready for more heat, but I was getting a lot more saliva build up there in that last one. So as I sit here and reflect on the burn, I really got on the palate of my mouth, on the back of my tongue. It's not really spread to the inside of my cheeks or my gums or anything like that. It's a very low burn. It's a very satisfying burn. It's not pins and needles. It's not attacking you. It's not violent. It is a very gentle, massaging, warm burn is what this is. I don't know if you would even get it off of one, but even one of the really hot ones you would. But other than that, if you eat 2 or 3 of them, it might build up to this level, especially one of those hot ones. But yeah, it's a really good, tasty pepper. I think that's what's really exciting about it is the way it looks with the striping, the variegation, the crazy look on the leaves, on the plant. I think that's pretty neat. The history behind it, I'd love to sit back and use it in some of those applications. Get me some good pale ones and try to make me a fish sauce out of it. See what kind of a kick that puts in. Do a little historical research and see what I can pull up on that. Maybe one of these days I'll jump into a little cooking videos and we can explore that side of the pepper world. Anyways, thanks for joining me for another episode of Cosmic Peppers. I'm right out here beside my pepper patch today. This has been a fun one. Thanks to Dave, the Hillside Gardener, for providing these absolutely delicious peppers. I'm looking forward to pushing out several more reviews over the coming weeks with peppers that he's provided. And I got ones I made too. They're coming off now. I'm just waiting for a good representative sample at this point. All right, thanks guys.